Um, an ideology may have many different moral theories, but I think what will happen is they will ultimately contradict. One has to decide which one is more valuable than the other. Mm. So a tribalist might, like we said before, a tribalist is going to be concerned with the good of their own tribe, and they might want to destroy an enemy in the pursuit of this good of the tribe. But they have to decide at the end of the day which one matters more, which one has greater weight. And whatever has the greatest weight, that is their moral theory. And whatever they consistently have, whatever they consistently give greater weight is going to have um, more of a say in their moral theory. Not that people don't bounce around between all of these. These all exist within our intuitions. We all have impulsive and selfish and passive and ignorant impulses and intuitions, just as we do for the other side of the scale. There's certainly a case to be made for some elements of destructivism within as a secondary or helpful method. I mean, if you're threatened by somebody else, somebody's going to harm you, and you want to use some sort of force, some sort of destructive force, not necessarily to severely harm, but any harm is going to rely on some sort of destructive or aggressive instinct. The key is which of these moral theories are your first principle. What is the primary way in which you operate? If you are when push comes to shove, if you care about yourself in the present moment, you're a hedonist. If you care about just yourself, but you're willing to extend that into the distant future, you're an egoist. If you're a tribalist, you care about your tribe. You might be willing to change who is involved in that tribe, but at the end of the day, you care about your tribe above everyone else, you're a tribalist. If you care about everyone throughout time, you're a utilitarian. And if you care about destruction and you don't care about good, if the good is always a secondary consideration, then you're a destructivist. And yeah, so some ideologies will be hedonist, egoist, or destructivist, somewhat utilitarian, but almost every single ideology is tribalist.
Basically talking about community.
Community, yes. So yeah, the community that somebody's in, you care about the authorities within that social group. You care about, you believe what they believe. You tend to value what they value. There's a socialization process that is much more important to a tribalist that would not matter to an egoist or utilitarian. An egoist or utilitarian, they're not concerned with any belief in the communities that they share. An egoist will often use a community for their own benefit. They might even appear to be self-sacrificial for the sake of their community, but they have the expectation of some reciprocal gain in the long term.
Hence the ego.
Hence the ego, yes. Their own personal good is ultimately what matters. They'll even see it as a loss or an injustice if they don't get some sort of personal reciprocation back.
Validation.
Anything that they value, anything that they consider gives them some sort of positive experience at the end of the day. Utilitarian will value communities, they'll value tribes for the sake that social gatherings contribute to emotional and mental health. They contribute to greater economic prosperity.
Even allowing people to get out of that survival mindset and into thriving.
Yeah, trying to thrive, trying to maximize their overall well-being. We'll consider the difference between well-beingism and utilitarianism later, but we can lump them generally into the same category for now. And they care about themselves only as far as caring about themselves also helps them care about other people. So everyone has certain needs that they need met, and having those needs met is going to help them provide for the needs of other people. And a utilitarian is going to care about their needs to the degree that they can help others. Um, and a utilitarian would also value some degree of destructiveness, because if there is a deep malevolence that exists within humanity, which there is, some people have to be stopped. Some people have to be deterred from committing acts of violence, acts of harm against other people. And a utilitarian will value violence and some harm to a measured degree, only to maximize the good.
Especially when someone is so focused on power, even if it's in a tribalistic sense.
Yeah, and seeking power can have it feeds on an insecurity, right? You seek power for an egoist anyway. So an egoist, they want power because they want some sort of security. They want some sort of they want to decide their own fate, because they're forward thinking, but they're forward thinking only about themselves. A tribalist cares about power because they care about their community, and they might find certain members of their community don't serve as leaders, as good leaders in their view, and they might want others to take their place, and so they're going to maybe use some coercive measures to try and make sure some people have more power rather than others. Utilitarian would also care about power in a way that's similar to tribalists, but instead of just looking at just their community, they're looking at all of humanity. We could extend this to every living being, at least to some degree. Not to say that animals are valued the same as humans. We can discuss that in another video.
There's an eco-minded person right
Yeah.
here, so I understand.
So what is valued to a utilitarian are living beings who have experiences, and whoever that includes, to the degree that they can experience the good, they are valued. Yeah, this is going to so utilitarian will choose power for a similar reason as a tribalist, but that doesn't mean personal power. There's no insecurity that's driven behind this.
Power for the greater good.
Power for the greater good. The greater good, right? This is probably the most abused part, or certainly the most critical part of utilitarianism. So utilitarian has to face the criticism that you might say such a high ideal can be significantly abused. Personally, I would say that this applies to every great ideal. You might think of, if you're a Christian or a Muslim or a member of any religion or non-religion, think about what you value the most, and then ask, is this something that could be abused by an egoist or destructivist? And you'll tend to find, yes, yeah, that can be abused. So, but just because something can be abused doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that there has to be a very careful application of it, that we should be cautious before we just immediately follow through with it, and that we consider all the implications, which is something that a utilitarian would do, right? Because utilitarians forward thinking. They're going to want to consider every conceivable option, including the ways that it can be abused.
Now, would you say utilitarianism is less focused on going with what the crowd wants versus what is genuinely just and good?
Yeah, so a tribalist is going to care about what their crowd cares about. They're going to listen to the media that their tribe listens to and their leaders. Sure, everyone can think of examples, but to be honest, that applies to us too. I mean, we're all tribalists to some degree. That means, yes, this applies to us. And I think that's what a utilitarian would say. I'm a utilitarian. Yeah, we're all vulnerable to somebody abusing that.
Or even abusing us to some extent. People who have more of a empathetic outlook on life
Mm-hmm.
can be taken advantage of more.
Yeah.
Individuals who just focus on themselves or the luxuries of life. I don't know how else to describe it. I think we've dived as deep as we can.
Yeah, for our first episode. And next episode, I'm thinking that we'll discuss a definition of the good. So we talked about the first four moral theories, wanting to maximize some good. Or what is that good? Is that something that can be found rationally? Is it just something that we all just sort of, we come up or we make or we discover? What is the nature of this good? Lots of philosophers throughout history have contemplated this problem. I think we can have a really good answer to this. And join us for our next episode. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And we will talk about the nature and definition of the good next episode.